My girlfriend texted, "Can't talk," at dinner with an old friend. But her location said her ex's apartment. I didn't confront her, just had all her stuff there by morning. Her Uber driver's confused face. Original post: I, 28 male, was sitting at home last Thursday night, about to order takeout when my girlfriend Jessica, 26, texted me around 7 p.m. "Hey babe, can't talk right now. Having dinner with an old college friend who's in town. We'll be home late, don't wait up. Love you." Cool, no problem. We'd been together 2 years, living together for 8 months in my condo. I trusted her completely, or I did until about 30 seconds later. See, we share locations with each other. Started doing it after she got worried when I had to work late a few times. Her idea, actually. For safety, she'd said. I'd forgotten about it, honestly, never really checked it, but something felt off. Maybe it was the way she said "old college friend" without a name. Maybe it was that she usually tells me her plans in advance. I don't know. Call it intuition. I opened Find My Friends. Her location showed an apartment complex about 20 minutes away. Not a restaurant. I zoomed in, and my stomach dropped. I knew that address. It was where her ex Daniel lived. The one she'd dated for 3 years before me. The one she swore she had zero feelings for, and barely talked to anymore. I sat there staring at my phone for maybe 5 minutes, heart racing, hands shaking a little. Part of me wanted to call her immediately, demand answers. But then what? She'd lie, make excuses, gaslight me into thinking I was paranoid. No, I needed to be smart about this. I screenshot the location. Then I waited 5 minutes and checked again. Still at his apartment. I started taking screenshots every 15 minutes. 7:15, 7:30, 7:45. Still there. By 8 p.m., I'd made my decision. I didn't text her, didn't call, didn't drive over there to confront them. Instead, I got to work. First, I called my buddy Mike, who owns a moving company. "I need a favor. Tonight, I'll pay double your usual rate." "Tonight? Bro, it's Thursday night, I'm watching the game." "Triple. And I'll throw in that bottle of Japanese whiskey you've been eyeing at my place. I'll be there in an hour with the truck." While waiting for Mike, I went through the apartment methodically. Jessica's stuff wasn't too mixed in with mine since she'd only been living here 8 months. Her clothes, her makeup, her books, that stupid expensive juicer she never used, her PlayStation that I'd bought her, but whatever, it was a gift, her artwork, everything. I wasn't vindictive about it. Didn't damage anything. Just carefully packed it all. Even wrapped her dishes in bubble wrap. I'm not a monster. Mike arrived at 9:15 with his box truck and his cousin Tony. They helped me load everything. Took about 2 hours. The neighbors probably thought it was weird, but I didn't care. "Where are we taking this stuff?" Mike asked. I pulled up Jessica's location again, still at Daniel's apartment. It was now 11:30 p.m. "Here," I said, showing him the address. Mike looked at me. "Isn't that?" "Yep." "Damn, bro, she's there right now?" I showed him the screenshots. Every 15 minutes for the past 4 hours, same location. "That's cold," Tony said. Then he grinned. "I love it." We drove to Daniel's complex. It's one of those places with outdoor corridors, and I knew his apartment from when Jessica had once asked me to drop off a box of his old stuff she'd found. Apartment 23B, 2nd floor. We unloaded everything right there in front of his door. Boxes, bags, suitcases, even her yoga mat and that fern she loved so much. We stacked it all neatly. I wasn't trying to block his door or anything petty like that, just delivering her belongings to her current location. I took a picture of the pile, then left a note on top. "Jessica, since you're having such a long dinner, I thought I'd save you a trip and bring your things to you. Your tea won't work anymore. We're done. P.S. Your location sharing is still on." We left. I didn't wait around to see their reaction. Didn't need to. Got home around 1 a.m., changed my locks, 24-hour locksmith, cost me $400 but worth it, and went to bed. My phone started blowing up around 6 a.m. Update 1, 2 days later. The entitlement that followed was absolutely insane. So after my phone started going off at 6 a.m., I had 23 missed calls from Jessica, 16 from Daniel, and about 50 texts ranging from "what the hell" to "please baby let me explain" to "you're psychotic." I didn't respond to any of them. The first voicemail from Jessica was her crying, saying there was a misunderstanding and she wasn't doing anything wrong, and I completely overreacted. The mental gymnastics were Olympic level. The second voicemail was from Daniel. Yo man, what the hell? You dumped all her shit at my place. That's trespassing. I'm calling the cops. Good luck with that, buddy. I left her belongings in a common area of an apartment complex. No trespassing involved. But here's where it gets good. Around 8 a.m. I heard pounding on my door. Through the peephole, I could see Jessica standing there with her sister Amanda, and hilariously, Daniel. Ryan, open this door right now. Jessica screamed. I called through the door. No thanks, we have nothing to discuss. You changed the locks? This is my home. No, it's my condo. Your name isn't on the lease, the mortgage, or any bills. You were a guest who became an ex-girlfriend. Daniel decided to play tough guy. Open the door and talk to her like a man. The man who was hosting my girlfriend for a dinner that lasted past 1 a.m.? That's rich. Leave before I call security. Amanda chimed in. Ryan, she wasn't cheating. She was just talking to Daniel about some personal stuff. For 5 hours? At his apartment? While lying to me about being at dinner with a friend? Yeah, that sounds completely innocent. Jessica started sobbing dramatically. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know. Maybe Daniel's place? You seemed pretty comfortable there for 5 hours. We were just talking. Cool. And now we're not. Goodbye. They kept pounding and yelling for another 10 minutes. I started recording on my phone in case I needed it for legal reasons. Eventually, building security showed up, I may have called them, and escorted them out. But the entitlement ramped up from there. Later that day, Jessica's mom, Patricia, called me. Now, I used to like Patricia. We got along well. But apparently, blood is thicker than common sense. Ryan, sweetheart, she started in that fake sweet voice. Jessica explained everything. She was at Daniel's getting closure. You've traumatized her by throwing her out. Patricia, she lied to me about where she was going. Spent 5 hours at her ex's apartment, and I have screenshots proving it. I didn't throw her out. I relocated her belongings to where she chose to be. She's staying with me now, and she's a mess. You need to let her come get her things properly. She has her things. I delivered them all to Daniel's apartment. Some of them got damaged. It rained that night. Not my problem. Should have thought about that before the 5-hour closure session. That's unfortunate, I said. Maybe she should have been honest about where she was going. Patricia's fake sweetness disappeared. You're going to regret this. She could sue you for illegal eviction. She wasn't a tenant, Patricia. She was a guest. No lease, no rent payments, no mail in her name here. I consulted a lawyer already. Have a nice day. I hung up. Then came the social media assault, but not the usual he's abusive posts. No, Jessica went with a different strategy. She posted a long story about how I was too insecure to handle her having male friends, and how I stalked her location and threw a tantrum like a child. The comments were interesting. Some of her friends bought it, but others were asking questions like, wait, why were you at his apartment though? And why did you lie about where you were? I didn't engage, didn't post anything, just watched it unfold. But Daniel's girlfriend found the post. Oh yeah, turns out Daniel had a girlfriend, Sophie. And Sophie was not happy to learn he'd had his ex over for 5 hours while she was working her night shift as a nurse. Sophie commented, "Are you kidding me right now? You were at my boyfriend's apartment until 1 a.m.? The post got deleted real quick after that, but screenshots were already circulating. Update 2, 1 week later. The escalation over the past week has been absolutely unhinged. First, Jessica tried to claim I stole some of her stuff. She filed a police report saying I kept her grandmother's necklace. She never had one. Her laptop, which she took to Daniel's that night. I have her location data showing she left my place with it, and $3,000 in cash she supposedly kept hidden in the bedroom. The cops came by to question me. I showed them my security footage from inside my condo. Yeah, I have cameras in the common areas. She knew about them. The footage clearly showed me and Mike packing everything, and you can see her laptop bag going into a box. No mysterious cash anywhere. The officer looked tired. Sir, did she ever pay rent? No. Is her name on any documentation for this residence? No. Did you damage any of her property? No, I actually wrapped her dishes in bubble wrap. He closed his notebook. This is a civil matter at best, probably not even that. They left. Later, I heard Jessica got a warning about filing false reports. Next came the financial entitlement. Jessica had been using my Netflix, Spotify, Amazon Prime, everything. I'd forgotten she also had my credit card saved on her Uber account for emergencies. I canceled the card and removed her from all streaming services. This triggered a meltdown. She actually sent me a Venmo request for $500 with the note, "For the Uber account you stole from me and emotional damages." I declined it and sent her back a request for $1,400 with the note, "8 months of streaming services, utilities, and groceries. We can call it even if you want." She blocked me on Venmo. Then came the really crazy part. Jessica convinced her friend Megan, who I'd never really liked, to text me pretending to be interested in me. The text said, "Hey Ryan, heard you're single now. Jessica never deserved you anyway. Wanna grab drinks?" Problem was, Megan forgot to use a different number. I had her saved in my phone from when we'd all hung out before. Plus, she posted an Instagram story an hour later with Jessica, captioned, "Plotting with my bestie." They really thought they were masterminds. I screenshot everything and sent it to my group chat with the boys. They had a field day roasting the whole situation. But the peak entitlement came yesterday. I got home from work to find Jessica had somehow convinced our building's maintenance guy that she was locked out of her apartment. She was literally standing in my living room when I walked in. "What the hell are you doing here?" She tried to act casual. "I came to get the rest of my things." "What rest? I gave you everything." "No, you forgot some items." She was opening my drawers, clearly looking for stuff that wasn't hers. I immediately started recording on my phone. "Jessica, you're trespassing. Leave now." "This was my home too." "No, it wasn't. You were a guest. You're now breaking and entering." She grabbed a throw pillow off my couch. "This is mine. I bought that 2 years before I met you." "Well, I'm taking it as compensation for my emotional distress." The maintenance guy, Rob, was standing there looking mortified. "She said she lived here." "Rob, have you ever seen her on the lease? Ever seen her pick up a package from the office? Get any mail here?" He shook his head, backing toward the door. "I'm sorry, man. She was really convincing." I looked at Jessica. "You have 10 seconds to leave before I call the police, and leave the pillow." She threw it at me and stormed out, but not before trying to grab my Nintendo Switch off the entertainment center. I blocked her. "That's mine. You bought it for me." "I bought it for myself. You just used it sometimes. You're such an asshole." 10, 9, 8. She finally left. I immediately went to the building management office and filed a formal complaint. Rob got written up, and they put a note in the system that Jessica is not a resident and should not be given access. Then last night, the ultimate entitlement move. Daniel called me. Not Jessica, but Daniel. "Bro, we need to talk." "No, we don't." "Look, nothing happened between me and Jess, but even if it did, you had no right to dump her stuff at my place." "Even if it did? So you're admitting something might have happened?" "I'm not admitting anything. I'm just saying you acted crazy. Daniel, she was at your apartment from 7 p.m. to past 1 a.m. She lied about where she was. What would you think if your girlfriend did that?" "I'd trust her because I'm not insecure. Right? How's Sophie, by the way?" Long pause. "We're working through some issues." "Issues like you having your ex over for 5 hours while she was at work? That's none of your business. And Jessica is none of yours. Lose my number." He hung up. Final update, 2 weeks later. "It's been 2 weeks since everything went down, and I wanted to give you all the conclusion to this disaster. After the breaking and entering incident, I filed for a restraining order. The judge granted a temporary one based on the security footage of her in my apartment without permission and the evidence of her filing false police reports. Jessica had to appear in court to contest it. She showed up with Patricia and Amanda, all dressed like they were going to church, trying to look innocent. Her lawyer argued that she had been a resident and had a right to retrieve her belongings. My lawyer shut that down quick with documentation showing she never received mail there, never paid rent, wasn't on any utilities, and had her legal address listed as her mom's house on her driver's license. The judge asked Jessica directly, "Did you enter the plaintiff's residence without permission after being told you weren't welcome?" She tried to explain. "I lived there. He threw me out illegally." "That's not what I asked. Did you enter without permission?" "The maintenance man let me in." After you told him you lived there, which you've just admitted in court you did not. This is concerning, Miss Winters. The restraining order was granted for 1 year. Jessica has to stay 100 yards away from me, my home, and my workplace. But the real karma came from an unexpected source. Remember Sophie, Daniel's girlfriend? Well, she reached out to me through Instagram. Not to blame me or defend anyone, but to thank me. Turns out, this wasn't the first time Daniel had his ex-girlfriends over while she was at work. She'd been suspicious for months, but he always gaslit her into thinking she was paranoid. My pile of Jessica's belongings at his door at 1 a.m. was the evidence she needed. She dumped him and moved out. But here's the beautiful part. The apartment was actually hers. She'd been the one on the lease, paying most of the rent, while Daniel looked for better work. For the past year. So now Daniel is homeless, couch surfing with friends. And Jessica? Well, without Daniel's apartment to run to and with a restraining order against visiting mine, she's stuck at Patricia's house. But even that came with consequences. Patricia called me one last time, trying to guilt-trip me into dropping the restraining order. She's learned her lesson, Ryan. This is ruining her life. She can't even drive certain routes to work because they go too close to your building. That sounds like a her problem, Patricia. You're being vindictive. No, I'm protecting myself from someone who lied to me, filed false police reports, and broke into my home. She made one mistake. Actually, she made several. Lying was the mistake. Everything after that was a choice. Patricia hung up on me. I found out through mutual friends that Jessica's job found out about the restraining order. She had to disclose it because we work in the same business district and there was a chance we'd run into each other. They didn't fire her, but she got transferred to their satellite office in the suburbs. Her commute went from 15 minutes to an hour and a half each way. The friend group has mostly sided with me after the truth came out. Even some of Jessica's closest friends reached out to say they had no idea she was at Daniel's that night, and they're sorry for believing her initial story. Megan, the one who tried to catfish me, actually apologized. Turns out, Jessica had told her I was abusive and controlling, and she thought she was helping expose me. When she saw the evidence, including the security footage of Jessica breaking in, she felt used. As for me, I'm doing all right. Not great, not terrible, just all right. 2 years is a long time to waste on someone who could lie that easily. But at least I found out who she really was before we moved forward with anything more serious. The condo feels bigger now. Quieter. I reorganized everything, got some new furniture, actually hung up some artwork I'd been meaning to for years. It's nice having my space be fully mine again. My boys have been great. Mike hasn't let me pay for a single beer since this went down. Says the entertainment value of that night was worth way more than the moving fee I paid him. His cousin Tony still tells the story to anyone who'll listen, adding new details every time. Last I heard, in his version, we needed a crane to move all her stuff. I'm not dating yet. Not really interested right now. Trust issues are real after something like this, but my therapist says that's normal and healthy. Taking time to process and heal. Oh, and the cherry on top? Last week I got a notification that someone tried to sign into my Netflix account. The location? Patricia's house. They're really still trying to use my streaming services. I changed all my passwords again and set up 2-factor authentication on everything. The lesson learned? Always trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. And when someone shows you who they really are, through lies, manipulation, and entitlement, believe them the first time. Also, turn off location sharing with your ex. Jessica's was still on for 3 days after everything went down. Watching her drive an hour and a half to her new office location every morning was more satisfying than I'd like to admit. But I'm not petty. I sent her one final text before blocking her everywhere. Your location sharing is still on. Might want to fix that. She turned it off within 30 seconds. Done. Finished. Moving on with my life. To everyone who called me savage for the midnight moving service, maybe. But I prefer efficient. Why have a dramatic confrontation when you can just solve the problem quickly and cleanly? She wanted to be at Daniel's apartment so badly, I just made sure all of her stuff could be there with her. The best revenge isn't elaborate schemes or public humiliation. It's simply refusing to accept disrespect and removing toxic people from your life with surgical precision. Jessica wanted to have her cake and eat it too. Keep me as the stable boyfriend while sneaking around with her ex. Instead, she lost everything. Her convenient living situation, her easy commute, her friend group's respect, and a relationship with someone who actually cared about her. All for what? A 5-hour conversation with an ex who also got dumped by his girlfriend because of it? Hope it was worth it, Jess. Actually, no, I hope it wasn't.